There's a willingness in our society and in our world for people to adopt new things because they are told to do so. People tend to just sit back and let the course of human evolution be decided for them. And there's a small group of people that thinks that it is the master of humanity, and the course of human evolution is something that is able to control, manipulate, and tamper with. This small group desperately wants to demonstrate that it has unlimited power and omnipotence. It desperately wants us to believe that its agenda for control is an accomplished fact, a foregone conclusion, which cannot be changed and reversed. And this particular psychology is being applied to the transhumanist agenda and artificial intelligence as well. So who said that merging with AI is inevitable for humans? It is only inevitable if we decide to do it. If we made a collective decision to go back to quote-unquote primitive living, where we can organically grow our own food, for example, we could do that too. So the idea of inevitability has been programmed into us. Just it has been programmed into us in a form of brainwashing that the fourth industrial revolution is being set in stone. The truth is that, as a society, we are on the verge of a revolution. A change so big that if we are not choosing consciously our direction now, it could irreversibly alter the very structure of human society, the human biology, the way we form our relationships, and the nature of our transactions and exchanges. And here we can talk about the Metaverse, the blockchain, the decentralized currencies and artificial intelligence in the workplace, and also in the health industry. Most of the public discussions on AI revolve around positive narratives, and we are meant to be convinced on the many great advancements that AI will provide. Some of the advantages that are being sold to us include transhumanist health modifications, computer implants in the body and brain, and even nanobots that one day may change our very cells. In other words, we are being convinced that in order to become more advanced, healthier, and stronger, we must become less human and more machine. There are even efforts to use AI systems to predict crimes before they actually happen, and they are being hyped as a revolutionary solution that can prevent disasters from happening. When in reality these experiments don't predict specific crimes, they rather use statistical analysis to predict in which locations certain crimes are most likely to happen. Algorithms monitor habits and patterns, when human beings tend to break patterns all the time based on their emotional state and the evolution of their consciousness. So AI is desperately trying to mimic the human psychic abilities, the human emotions, and the sophistication of the human consciousness altogether. And here's what's inherently dangerous and wrong about AI. It doesn't aim to be a follower of the human consciousness. It wants to be a replacement of it. Imagine a world micromanaged by a cold, dead algorithm that views you as one of two things: a resource or a threat. But why does the global elite view AI with such reverence? What is this obsession with replacing the human consciousness and the biology with something synthetic? Well, the obsession comes from thinking that AI is a new form of life, or the ultimate form of life, a life that they are creating. And if they are able to create life, then they are gods. And this new form of life is actually made in the image of its creators, meaning that it has no human quote-unquote flaws like emotions, like empathy, compassion, love. It has no conscience, no reason, no wisdom. It is purely operating from the intellect and scientific materialism, which aims to mimic human reactions and behaviors, but at the same time despises human traits as limiting. The transhuman movement is targeting people that despise their humanness and even deny the existence of the soul. It is designed for individuals that believe that the soul is just a psychological phenomena and its existence ends with the disappearance of neurons and neurotransmitters in the brain. Therefore, they consider the human brain to be limited. So once it dies, our consciousness ceases to exist, and immortality can only be achieved with replacing the human brain with computer-based technology. The transhuman movement describes God as an archetypal concept only, a mythological comfort blanket that helps us to face the loneliness of existence. And while it is propagating this materialist idea, it is desperately trying to play God. It is so cut off from God that it has to play God. And we haven't even spoken yet about the dangers and moral implications of the virtual reality and a society that lives and breeds technologies like the Metaverse. We have to think about how will our collective consciousness be affected if people begin living parts of their life in an alternate reality where they can do anything without fear or retribution. Where we can draw the line between it's just a game and you have actually committed a real crime. We have to consider that the Metaverse is primarily being marketed to Gen Z, people that are born after 1997, who in average spend more than 10 hours online per day and are more embedded in digital culture than any other generation before. Sadly, this generation has grown up playing violent video games and having their minds raped by AI algorithms and abhorrent videos on TikTok. So yes, this generation has been primed for virtual reality and AI and has been groomed into mind-numbing technologies that the transhumanist agenda is desperately pushing for. Gen Z in the Metaverse have none of the social constraints associated with their physical identities, something unthinkable to every previous generation in history. During an interview last year, Elon Musk said that he wasn't sold on the idea of strapping a screen to his face to be in the Metaverse, because it can get very uncomfortable. He is more keen to the idea of the Metaverse being implanted into our head via brain AI interface. So he is basically promoting his Neuralink for that. Think about it. The Metaverse is a very smart stepping stone towards a reality in which you are no longer in the Metaverse, but the Metaverse is in you. The building out of an augmented reality and the so-called meta ecosystem is worse than any creative dystopias yet conceived. Do not think for a second that anything will be free in this sick reality. The Metaverse will actually be the definition of a monopoly game. There are several big brands that are already seeing the opportunity for massive profit in the Metaverse. For example, Nike is already acquiring a virtual shoe company called RTFKT to help them sell shoes in the metaverse. Yeah, you heard it well. You will be able to purchase virtual shoes in a virtual reality with NFTs, aka non-fungible tokens that are digital assets created by blockchain technology. Blockchain, by the way, is another psyop, however, I won't get into that in this video. Adidas has created also an NFT collection that sold over $22 million. And guess what? They also bought a plot of land in the metaverse to host virtual parties and events. JP Morgan, HSBC, and Samsung as well are also buying plots of land. So virtual real estate turns out to be big business. And I think we can all ask the valid question, what's all this for? What is this insanity about? And where we can draw the line? Are we accepting this madness as our set-in-stone future and the future of the next generations? Or we simply say no? Because these cool revolutionary technologies are slowly being integrated into our everyday lives until society finds itself embedded in a digital prison. While the controllers rob the world of everything that is real and everything that is organic and human. Needless to say, this can only be possible if we rob ourselves as well from things that are our birthright, things that are part of our humanness and that are part of our past. There's a sick desire of the globalist elite for control over civilization and of every aspect of human thought, which can only become acceptable to the masses through deception. The deception of promising a more convenient, more advanced, more evolved society and future. These promises are lies. They are dangerously incomplete and outright cataclysmic because they go directly against the organic human evolution. We have to remember that there are no agendas that can be implemented without our permission and without our willingness to participate in them. Our free will can never be taken away from us, and we have to use it. But we also have to be able to say no to these dangerous, anti-human, or even anti-Christ concepts that are serving for the interruption of the soul evolution, and we have to opt out of them. So the question that we have to ask ourselves is, which reality we would like to participate in? Because that will be the foregone conclusion for each of us. That will be our accomplished fact.